It's not too far removed from hell.
What?
I have never found it harder to breathe. I've often said that America is a nation of extremes, and in this case it has to do with humid heat and dry heat. Because I think...
Okay, wait a second. He is complaining a lot about the weather, but I feel like the Midwest is not even the worst place, right? If you go to states like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, things get quite crazy there. Am I off on this? Today I'll be reacting to British heatwaves and got nothing on America. My friends, this should be a fascinating one, but before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much, is the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it, you make my day. Have that in consideration now. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
Hello. To quote the great 20th century philosophers, Herman's Hermits, I woke up this morning feeling fine until I checked my weather notifications.
Well,
What?
it looks like Chicago is under one of those Arizona-esque excessive heat warnings.
Wait.
Which means that
Okay, sorry for the pause, I will run it back, but you get an email when there is excessive heat warning? Oh my god, okay, that's crazy. Oh, look, today, for example, I was checking the temperature in my country before going live with this video, and it's like 78 Fahrenheit, you know. I was also doing some conversions. For example, in the city I live, the worst that it gets is like 95, maybe 100 Fahrenheit, and that's already really crazy. But normally I would say 80, 90 Fahrenheit, it's what we expect here, and it's already quite difficult sometimes to enjoy the weather on those temperatures. But in America, things are a bit different, right?
Chicago is under one of those Arizona-esque excessive heat warnings, which means that Notify Chicago sends me a lot of text that I have to read through. Basically, the major detail from this is that the heat index is expected to get up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
And honestly, I'm already sensing an abnormal amount of mugginess in the bedroom, which is definitely why there are sweat stains on my t-shirt. It's so muggy that I can't see out of my own window. Is that a raccoon? Oh, it's Arthur. Right. Coming in, mate. Coming in, it's a hot one. You're a hot dog. Just did a video about hot dogs. You don't care. Look at that. It's all wiping off. That's not dirt on the window. Not entirely dirt anyway. Turns out it's not just our storm doors, but all of our windows. Arthur, go get me a rag. Instead, he decided he wanted to go for a walk, which is probably a good thing, because believe it or not, right now it's only 85 degrees because we're still in the morning. Nonetheless,
85 in the morning, oh, that's a lot. Like I said, today is 76 here in Portugal, in my city, better saying. And I feel like it's quite hot already. Really?
Given that he is a black puppy, it's probably best to keep him in the shade and away from the sunlight, which travels 92 million miles for him specifically. At this point, I told Arthur word for word that we might want to consider heading back since hydrational complications can arise from a lack of H2O. After nodding, he ran, excited by the prospect of water, but flummoxed by his sudden grasp of complex English. That's it, puppy. Walk nice and slowly in the shade. We're almost home. We'll get you that water in just a second.
To be honest, this is Chicago, right? Chicago seems such a beautiful place.
Can't believe I'm saying this, but even the door handles are wet. Oh, that's weird. Let's go.
Holy.
Right, puppy, get that water, mate. Get that water. Good doggy.
Oh,
You're gonna
I
need
love
a lot of
dogs.
that today. And in about 3 seconds, he's going to lie down on the floor to cool off. I know you. I can read you like a book. And one book that...
Honestly, with this type of weather, the ones that suffer the most sometimes, I would say the animals, because they don't know how to avoid. If you have animals, please pay attention to them when there is crazy heat waves.
that I've read this year from cover to cover is the manual to my AC unit. I'm kidding, I never read the manuals. But during intense heat, AC is your best friend, except for your puppy, of course, he's the reason those cushions are there.
What?
Last year, when the all-time British temperature record was broken in a village just 37 miles from my hometown, I kept...
What the hell? Okay.
Observing the same comments on social media.
Mate, it should be illegal to sweat this much while watching EastEnders in just my underpants.
I too experienced the odd, sometimes very odd heat wave in Britain. Without air conditioning, or aircon as we sometimes call it back home, the chances of a good night's sleep are about as low as an English door frame from the past. But here in the present, I find myself facing the reality of a Midwestern heat wave. And now that it's the early afternoon, the temperature is rapidly approaching 100 degrees. So how does it feel indoors? Well, the quick answer is it feels like it's 67 degrees because that's what the AC is set to. The long answer is that there are some caveats that involve me going upstairs. Up here, as I alluded to at the start of the video, it does feel muggier than normal, and there are a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, heat rises, and secondly, the warmer the outside temperature, the harder the AC has to work to keep the house cool. And apparently our AC has been slacking off on the job and needs to be fired. Well, we've now reached the heat of the day, and looking at the temperature
Oh my god, he's struggling actually.
online, it says that it is around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but that doesn't tell the entire story. In fact, those notifications from this morning completely and utterly a little bit lied. Because whereas the heat index was supposed to be a paltry 110 degrees, it in fact reached 114. And of course, that's just Chicago. In the south and southwest, such a heat index is just another Tuesday. But I digress. And so, being a YouTube sensation, I didn't want to waste this opportunity to capitalise on the weather. So I'm going to do a quick fun activity, which hopefully doesn't involve me spinning around like this. Can I stop? Thank you. In which I do that thing where you take some hot water, throw it in the air and see if it freezes on the way down. That's the winter version, isn't it? Just let's do the reverse of that and take an ice ball and stick it in a cup and see how long it takes to melt.
Probably really fast. Holy sweet potato is going fast. Well, okay. Well, it's actually holding off. Oh, never mind. Oh, this is Americanized stuff. Not bad.
Well, that was pretty impressive, and I have to say, I think this is the hottest day that I've ever experienced in the history of my own history. Because while I've experienced temperatures of 100...
Sorry, now I'm actually quite curious to see what's the highest temperature ever in Portugal. Give me a second, my friends. I will actually share the screen with you. Let me just open this. So, my friends, I did a quick research, and you guys may not believe, but it's actually quite crazy. The highest temperature ever here in Portugal, I don't know how much was in Fahrenheit, but I will put in Celsius. 116. This was in 2003. But this is not normal. This was basically some crazy exception. Today, the temperature in my city is this, 78. And normally, I know I'm repeating myself, but for you guys to understand, normally the temperature tends to be in the summer, when there is weeks and weeks of summer, I would say, this is from the top of my mind, but I would say maybe 32. Around 90, maybe a bit more, a bit less, but more than that is really rare. Going to over 100 is so rare. You guys have no idea. But seems like it's not that rare in America. That shocks me a lot. And you guys know I love America, but I'm very thankful for, the weather we have here in Portugal, because I think it's quite great. Let's continue with the video. I run it a bit back and let's continue, my friends.
History of my own history. Because while I've experienced temperatures of 100 degrees or more here in the United States, I don't think I've ever been heat indexed quite as much as this.
Holy...
Thankfully, there is quite a strong wind, which helps to cool you down in
sometimes the wind is
spurts.
bad because
but
it's
aside
hot.
from that, it's not too far removed from hell.
What?
I have never found it harder to breathe. I've often said that America is a nation of extremes, and in this case it has to do with humid heat and dry heat. Because I think...
Okay, wait a second. He is complaining a lot about the weather, and with good reasons, but I feel like the Midwest is not even the worst place, right? If you go to states like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, things get quite crazy there. Am I off on this? I don't think so, right?
The one time that I experienced heat that was close...
Actually, I love to ask this. How many degrees are you experienced right now in your city, my friend? Leave me a comment.
to this was when I was in Salt Lake City climbing up a mountain. But there, while I was sweating my arse off, I could at least breathe until I got stung by a bee and dropped my camera. But here, on my flat Illinoisan back garden, just walking at snail's pace, I'm already sweating buckets. I've been outside for 10 minutes. So since I haven't had a chance to get a suntan this year, I think I might just get a towel and lay out right here on the grass. Or do the alternative. Well, on the one hand, we're here in the early evening, so the sun's going down, doesn't feel quite as hot, and we're next to a really huge lake. That said, I could have been at home right now.
What?
Instead of getting covered in sand and seagull shit. Look at them. They're right up close.
What?
But now it's the next morning, and the current temperature calls to mind an expression of which Americans are often fond. If you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes, or in this case, 12 hours. Because bizarrely, Chicago today feels more like Seattle than Phoenix, with temperatures more akin to fall than summer. And all I've got to show for the hellscape that was yesterday is a barely noticeable tan, one fewer ice ball, and sand in every crevice imaginable. Turns out Anakin was right about all of it. That said, at least we've returned to temperatures more fit for humans, not to mention black puppies. Come on, mate. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments your heatwave stories from this summer. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter. And
share with me also, my friends.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that I don't have to. And as always, a big thank you to my ponderers who make these videos possible. They even paid for the sun. If you would like to become a ponderer and gain access to my secret live stream as well as my secret video series, Diary of a YouTube Sensation, you can do so today at patreon.com/lostinthepond or by clicking the join button below. Until the next.
Okay, my friends, give all the support to Lawrence. I have a question actually, and this is just for the ones that are watching until the end. So the weather can be very extreme in the north and in the south. Probably in the north on the winter, in the south on the summer. But is this something that you guys believe a lot of Americans take in consideration when it comes to, for example, a young family? You know what I mean? Start a new life. Do you guys think the weather is something, because I assume that could be the case, you know, imagine if you live in Texas and you really don't like the heat, maybe you move to California, maybe you move to Colorado. I'm making some assumptions, but this happens, right? Because almost a lot of immigration inside of the country because of the weather. I wonder if that's something that you guys would say I'm correct, but yeah. Thank you so much for watching this with me, my friends. Really means a lot. You guys end up staying until the end. See you guys in the next one. Bye.